Morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, October 2nd. We have an exciting show for you today. We're going to talk about the hidden costs of aging in place, essentially stagnation, what we call it sometimes in our industry. And Pretty exciting topic. We're going to give you some actionable tips as always. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. As you know, just a little housekeeping. This is never official legal or tax advice. This content's for entertainment purposes. Quick introduction. My name is Robert O'Keefe. We're the creators and founders of Over 55 NJ. We're a local based real estate company, and we help people make educated decisions, downsizing, giving you lots of valuable tips, insights, and basically here to hold your hand as a resource. We have a saying that great real estate planning is done in advance. So this is kind of like an advanced planning topic, which is a lot of our topics. We have a lot of time. We understand moving does not happen overnight. So we're here to build a relationship with you to help answer your questions. There's never any rush or pressure on our end. Like I said, a lot of people probably reach out to us. 1 to 2 years is the average time frame. And we help make you make that educated decision and just walk you through everything in between. So today's topic is going to be aging in place. And before we get to that, we just have an important reminder about the PAS1 app. This is the app to save huge money on your property taxes. It wraps up all the savings into one. One is the senior freeze. That means if you own your own house, New Jersey will give you a rebate on your property tax increases. Two is the anchor benefit. That's up to $1,750, a rebate every year. And the big one, which is new and that's flying under the radar, is the Stay New Jersey program. And so this program will actually give you a rebate on your property taxes, 50% with a $6,500 cap every year. So huge savings, probably up to over $7,000 in savings right now. So lots of valuable information on this call already. So the catch is the state may hope you don't want to apply for this because they have to shell out the money. So our job is just to keep everyone informed, especially our customers, and make sure you're aware of this. It's very easy to apply. You can just go to our website, rockrealty.com, go to the resources and look for PAS1. And we have a full guide on how to apply and take advantage of this on our website. So don't hesitate also to reach out. We can also send you the guide directly. If you want a copy of the guide, just write copy in the comments. We're happy to send you the copy of the guide directly. So don't miss out on those big savings. And if you want to go to our site too and look at all the homes, the 55 plus community homes, you can go to our site over55nj.homes and check out the inventory from there. So let's talk about our topic today and jump into it, the hidden costs of aging in place. So the best way for me to explain this is through a story of an actual customer we've helped. This person was widowed, lost her husband, and the husband was doing everything around the house. We see these in countless examples. I have another client that owns a commercial building where the husband did everything, and tragically he passed away. And then she was just left with everything. So we just came in and just kind of helped her with the asset and get the asset stabilized. So take this off for a second. Pretty much what you want to do is you definitely want to plan ahead for these things. And by way of example, in the story that I was talking about was, give me 1 second, I just want to get rid of this call. So by way of example, and what I was talking about was this lady was widowed, and then she was just in the house all by herself, had to learn to pay bills by herself, had to learn to take care of all the systems, tons of water in the basement, the roof was failing, the air conditioner system was going next. So that's really just like kind of like the threat, if you will, and the hidden threat of just aging in place and not being proactive with a move is you never know. Candidly, it's a very tough topic to talk about, but you just never know when things might change. I have another neighbor of mine I can never forget. Her husband passed away from a heart attack, and she told me, she said, "Your life can just change in an instant, and you just never know. You just never know when that's going to happen." So that kind of always stuck with me, and just really wanted to kind of bring this to everyone's attention. You never know when accidents can happen. You never know when our loved ones might leave us, and really our job is just to have these kind of uncomfortable conversations and get our customers and associates kind of just thinking about these things so you can start planning ahead for them. So an example of the person or the customer I was talking about, the roof was fading. The roof, they kind of let that go. A roof is a big expense. So that's just generally the biggest expense we advise clients that are aging in place to watch out for. Roof is around could be anywhere between $15,000 to $25,000 just to replace the whole roof. You can repair it and patch repair it, but it's just kind of kicking the can down the road. Roofs on average last between 15 and 25 years. This roof actually lasted a long time. It was a very well built roof. The biggest thing you really have to watch out for is the HVAC system. So that's something like you really can't kick down the road, especially on winter time, especially in the hot summer months. In this particular house, we put it up for sale this year. This air conditioner was on its last legs, 22 years old. Filters were not being changed. That's another quick pro tip: that always change your filters and always schedule maintenance for your HVAC systems. We have some great contacts if you want to get on a service plan. They'll come out automatically towards the winter season and also in the spring season. Make sure everything's taken care of for you. You definitely want to stay on top of that and keep your system going as long as possible. And also change your filters every quarter. Set a reminder. We have a calendar for our clients too, called the Home OS system. And basically, what this will do is it will set reminders for you for things you have to do like this, these pain in the butt things that you don't want to remember or don't have time to remember. It will set a reminder for you to change your filters every quarter and just keep up with these systems so they don't fail you. And eventually, every system will fail, but this keeps the system prolonged as much as possible. So, the HVAC is kind of the sneaky one. So I just had to replace an HVAC for a property I owned. It was 10 grand right off the bat. Granted, a little bit of a smaller property. It was in a commercial building, so we had to actually get a crane to take it up. But the average we see with that is between 10 and 15,000 to replace a whole HVAC system. So when these costs add up, these costs are all out of pocket. There's not many financing options for them. It could be a big strain just coming out of pocket. I come from the investment real estate world, working with big time investors that are, very sophisticated. Some of these guys own hundreds of units, and I had the opportunity to learn from them. So, pro tip too, if you plan to stay in your house for a long time, is set aside a budget, set aside a separate bank account, and just kind of chip away at it. Put in $100, $200 a month just for these repairs in the long term, as it's just better than just being prepared. That's what we do for investment properties: is we set aside money coming from our rent checks every month into this account. So when these systems go, and every system will inevitably go, as we know, it's really, you're prepared for it. So just make sure that you're setting money aside, and just make sure you have a nest egg for these systems if you do plan to stay in place, because eventually they'll go eventually. Any questions on that? Feel free to drop any comments in the comment section there. All right. So we got a question here. Type it out. Here's a question: do some 55 plus communities have costs or fees people don't realize? They're pretty much generally upfront with everybody. So the HOA is so everything's going to be detailed in your homeowner packet. These communities will have great like resources just to get everyone acclimated. The fees people don't realize sometimes is there could be an assessment on the property. I mean, let's say if some tragic accident happened, a tree went through the clubhouse, or something happened where the whole a tree went through the clubhouse, or there was some natural disaster of some capacity. If that community does not have reserves in place, the community will issue an assessment. Now, assessment is not paid upfront. A lot of people choose to pay it upfront, but usually it's done over a monthly fee over the course of time. So that's generally what we recommend. If the community assesses you, is you pay month by month, and the HOA will assess that. So to answer the question, the unexpected fees are just generally the assessments on the community. Everything else is pretty straightforward: HOA fees, taxes, everything else is pretty much standard and expected. But if there is some sort of disaster, if there's an emergency, you will be assessed generally. Now, what we also do is we make sure you're buying into communities with strong reserve budgets and strong financials, so that let's say going back to our conversation, planning for a rainy day, if something does happen, then you're prepared for that ahead of time. So a lot of good communities, the good well-run communities, which we have a list of, will be putting money aside for something like that, so they don't have to assess, because nobody wants to pay an assessment. Nobody wants hidden fees. Nobody wants surprises. So that's a great question there. Another question: what advice would you give to someone just starting to consider a 55 plus community? Start on our website, go to over55nj.homes and set up a search from there. You can set up your bedroom count, your price point count. We have single family homes, we have pet community filters. That's just a great way to just kind of get acclimated. And then from there, narrow down from there. Narrow down first by location, narrow down second by price point, and then just three, just use all your ancillary secondary specifications. And from there, you're going to see there's just a ton of real estate everywhere. It's kind of like when you're buying a car, like if you're just focused on a certain type of model, you're going to see it everywhere. And then you're going to be cognizant that there's cars of that type of model everywhere. So if you start looking, if you start signing up on our site with email alerts, you're going to see how many of these communities there are in New Jersey. There are like tons of them out here, which is very exciting for us. So start with a wide search first and then narrow down from there is our best advice from that. And feel free to reach out to us too if you have any questions, and we can actually even search and set up the search for you. Now, just to wrap up in terms of hidden costs, so some of our customers are kind of wary about the HOA fees. One thing to know is the HOA fees cover a ton of maintenance around the property, snow removal, lawn care, things of that nature. Those are all costs that are coming out of pocket if you own your own home. And these costs, what we're seeing with inflation, are generally going up. So many of our customers gripe about HOA fees. Some people are not used to it. Some people have a good understanding of it. The HOA fees, you want to make sure you're buying to a community with a good HOA fee. We have a filter on our site where you can just basically cap it at a number you feel comfortable with. But understand the value of the HOA fee, that it covers all these maintenance activities. It covers money in the reserve and the budget, so communities don't have to assess you. And it just covers general maintenance that you wouldn't have to put up with yourself if you owned your own home. So there's a lot of value to the HOA fees. And that's just one thing, too, you have to budget about aging in place, is just constantly setting money aside for property tax increases. We've been seeing our property taxes in New Jersey have went up the past couple of years. We've seen that across the board, across many communities. But start budgeting for that and just make sure that you're budgeting for these increases. And also for insurance costs, too. We're seeing insurance costs go up as a trend, too. So you just want to make sure you're aware of those hidden costs as well, and make sure that you're preparing for that ahead of time by setting money aside. A pro tip, and if you want to take an actual step, is set a new bank account. We like Ally Bank because you can create many sub accounts within that account. So you can have one main account for your hub, and then like sub accounts for a certain type of savings, like future down payment, future house expenses, future HVAC, roof. You can basically set up little saving windows within that account. So kind of a cool system there that we recommend. Now, we went into some strategies there. We went into some hidden costs that you may not be aware of. Long story short, it's just the major systems. The roof, sometimes people can get away with it unless the water damage is catastrophic. The systems will fail eventually. If you own an older home, we were looking at a home for our customers built in 1900. Those homes tend to age a little bit more, not as well as homes built in the 50s and newer. When the 1950s, the mid-century happened, the construction quality just basically got a lot modernized. So if you own an older home too, you want to be aware of that. And as time goes on, a lot more customers may be a little bit more uncomfortable about buying an older home if you live in one. So something to watch out for there. But the main thing to watch out for is the age of your systems. And what we recommend too is take an inventory list of your systems. Take a note of the serial number. Take a note of a lot of times, like, you can't get the age of your system on the tag. So a way to do that is to take note of the serial number. We can run the serial numbers through a software we have to tell you the approximate age of your system. But just take a note of all your inventory, save it to a spreadsheet, and kind of guesstimate what it would, how much money you'll have to be saving and putting aside to replace these items. Because the worst thing is if it just happens, if everything fails, especially the HVAC system that keeps you very comfortable, it could be just a very tough experience and something that's unexpected that a lot of people just don't plan for. And as you can see, like our main tenant is planning ahead and just making sure we're on top of these things and bringing this to your attention. And a great way to do that too is to download the calendar, so you're taking care of all your systems as best you can, so that they last the longest. Now, let's go into some questions and answers. We gave you a lot of actionable advice. If you want this in a document too, feel free to reach out to us and DM us, and we can kind of give you a checklist. I know we're going sporadically a little all over the place here today. First question: if I already own my home outright, why would I ever pay HOA fees in a community? What we're going over is the HOA fees will cover maintenance of snow removal, grass removal, things of that nature. The main thing and the main point I give is to look at the HOA and tax of a community holistically. Meaning, like, even if your HOA is $300, $400 a month and your taxes are low, let's say $4,000 on average for the community, that's a lot lower than a yearly property tax we generally see, and much lower in your insurance costs and your downsizing costs, your utility costs. So the biggest tip we give when it comes to HOA fees and understanding them is look at them holistically in the big picture, and just do a calculation of the monthly cost you're paying currently versus your monthly HOA fee and your monthly new property taxes, and just kind of compare apples to apples from there. And then just understand too, the HOA will give some maintenance, utility, snow removal, maintenance, and things of that nature. So, great question there. Next question. Aren't HOAs just wasting money? I'd rather save it myself. It just goes into the other thing of just looking at the money, just looking at everything and just comparing apples to apples. Just to kind of piggyback on that, you could, your money does go into things. We also didn't talk about like the benefits of the pool. I know some of our family members have pool. It costs a ton of money to heat that pool, especially if you keep it open in September, October. So it's not just maintenance expenses. It's just also the activities, the pool, things of that nature, stuff that you can just pay a small fee into and just enjoy, and that you don't have to take care of yourself. So that can't go overlooked there when it comes to HOAs. Let's see. Next question. I think it's our last question here. Isn't downsizing always the cheapest solution? Not necessarily. We've seen some where some clients are considering a high HOA fee, a high tax. Some people want to upgrade and go into a bigger condo. The ones on Long Branch are awesome, where you're right by the beach. High cost. In some cases, we've seen people kind of like upscale or upsize into those, if you will, where you're just right by the beach. So it really just depends on what you're comfortable with and your criteria. We invite you to go to our site at over55nj.homes to set up some parameters of what you're looking for. And we can also do some calculation too on what your estimated monthly payment would be. So feel free to reach out on that, and feel free to just send us any homes and say like, hey, like what would the average down payment be with that? What the monthly payment is? You'll be surprised at how much cheaper it is and how much money you're saving compared to your current situation. And we've kind of done this exercise with a lot of clients, just even starting to look, especially to first-time home buyers, and they're like, wow, I can afford this. This is in my budget. A lot of times this is a lot cheaper than what I'm paying now, and this is great value. So we just definitely invite you to reach out to us. If you have a topic too that you want covered, feel free to reach out to. We'll have a special guest next show. We're going to be talking about some senior care advisors for those looking for care, and some proactive things to get ready for that. So don't miss that. We'll see you on the next show as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining. Feel free to reach out anytime. Email us at over55nj@gmail.com. Send us a text message. Send us a direct message. The website, again, is over55nj.homes to start setting up searches. And if you want to schedule a call directly, you can always go to over55nj.chat, and you can book a call on our calendar and just talk to us. Completely no pressure, no rush. We can get to know each other and start putting a plan together ahead of time. So make it a great day. Thanks always as watching. We really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one next week.